I had no set script in this painting process, only a silhouette and intuition. I added meaning step by step, and at one moment the image seemed to form itself out of nothing. In the middle of the work, I made a mistake, and it changed everything. You will see how an idea was born out of chaos and why sometimes you have to give the process freedom. At the end, you will see the final piece along with a short breakdown of the symbolism. I forgot to mark the center and the figure shifted, so I had to move it. Mark the middle first, then sketch. I started with a white pencil and then I used black acrylic to refine the silhouette and proportions until I like them. If you notice, I'm working on a black canvas. On this kind of surface, ideas just come naturally. White, on the other hand, sort of freezes me. I start doubting. Or maybe it's just my personal preference. And I mean, when I paint white on black, it feels totally different from painting black on white. Also, this contrast makes it easier to clearly feel the state of what I want to convey. What I'm expressing is actually not really about the external or realistic side of things. Because of that, there is no point in carefully rendering every detail or trying to make everything look realistic. It's not about technique, it's more about focusing on the state I want to convey, on the symbolism and the inner meaning. I often find myself focusing too much on small sections and I move around the canvas in a pretty random way. The whole painting took about 3 hours, including breaks and fixes. I cut those out so you only see the main process. For me, the feminine is not about the body, it's an energy. That's why I used only one color, white. The silhouette is not realistic or anatomical because the focus is not on looks but on intuition, feeling, and inner strength. And there is another important detail. She isn't crucified, even though her arms are spread. If I had to describe it in one sentence, this is a figure that refuses to control and finds strength exactly in that. The feeling is I open and I'm not afraid. A naked silhouette with open arms equals vulnerability, but the posture is upright and calm, which means it's courageous vulnerability, not helplessness. The only minus of a black canvas is that when you paint white acrylic on it with some water, the black starts to come through and the white turns grey. So this is a part where you have to play a little. Since I don't have the patience to wait for everything to dry, my silhouette will be a bit blurry. I'm too lazy to wait and keep adding fresh white layers, so I add some water, stretch the white across the silhouette, and leave it slightly transparent. As you see, I'm constantly fixing the proportions with black paint, adjusting the edges of the silhouette. I'm just trying to keep a kind of natural symmetry, and over time you start to feel it intuitively. And my natural blending tool is my fingers. Honestly, the hardest part for me is painting the head that's looking upward. You also have to use white to suggest the shadows, to show where the neck is, and to make it clear that the head is tilted up. And then you still need to paint the small facial details. That's why I use a reference not to copy someone else's work, but to help myself understand the specific angle and draw it properly. It's just a part that's challenging for me. At this state, I keep refining and adjusting things again and again because I constantly feel like they are not perfect or not finished yet, but sometimes you just have to stop and keep it simple. Otherwise, you can get stuck on one piece forever. Perfectionism does not really help. Most of the time, it only slows you down. I should probably introduce myself. And hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Maria, a self taught artist. Painting is how I express myself and connect my spiritual world with my art. It helps me share the states and feelings I experience. I didn't finish the hands, it felt forced, and it wasn't actually necessary because I'm not trying to show details, I'm trying to show a state. So now I'm starting to paint something different. I want to place a circle right in the center, just a little above her head. For me, the circle appears here intuitively. It simply feels harmonious, like a point of balance. It also works as a center that pulls the attention inward, into the inner depths of the figure, into something like the soul or its energy. Everyone can name it in their own way. But since I want to express the nature of feminine energy, this black circle feels to me like the moon in its new moon phase. It's there, but you can't see it. It turns inward and gathers strength. It's also a point of balance, a place where you don't fall into extremes but find your inner ground. As you can see, this part turned into a bit of a blur. This is exactly the stage I mentioned at the beginning. At first, I honestly thought I had ruined the whole painting. I was smudging the white around the circle, trying to create this haze, almost like a nebula. But somehow, instead of destroying it, that mistake turned the piece into exactly what it was meant to be. Radiance is a manifestation of inner strength and connection with the world. Light doesn't come to her, it comes from her. The background is dark, almost cosmic, and the contrast makes the central figure appear as a source of light, energy, and rebirth. Behind the figure, you can see these overlapping arcs and rays of light. They are not just plain white, there are rainbow tones showing through, almost like the light is passing through a prism. The way it feels like the light is actually coming from her instead of shining on her from the outside. Around the black circle, I added these yellow and orange tones. They create a warm glow and separate the circle from the background. It almost feels like the darkness is surrounded by light. Originally, these shapes I'm painting now are meant to be the two halves of the moon, and the moon itself is in the center but hidden like a new moon. And it can also be seen as something that each viewer can interpret in their own way. The figure in the center works like a point of equilibrium. The elements on the sides can be seen as poles, extremes, currents, or different phases. The center does not eliminate them, it holds the balance between them. This painting carries many layers of meaning. It speaks both about a certain inner state and about the way each person can perceive it differently. Everyone interprets it in their own way and describes that feeling through their own experience. The painting itself appeared in a very intuitive way. It grew out of the state I was in while creating it. In a sense, it is its state, it moves with me during the process, and at the same time, it becomes exactly what needed to emerge, what I wanted to express. You can decide whether it feels simple or complicated. Everything is relative, and there is always another side. It's both everything and nothing, somewhere in between. And what I just explained is only my perspective. You might see it in your own way. So guys, I really hope this process and the painting and this whole video resonated with you somehow. Maybe it brought up a feeling that you can't even explain. And if you want more videos like this, please be active, like, comment, let me know so I can see that it really reaches someone and is useful to you. And thank you for staying until the very end. I know that's not always easy these days, but if you made it here, then this video was meant for you. If you feel like we are on the same wavelengths, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I will be really happy if you come back and watch it.